Betway presents episode 5 of the podcast with me, Sumedh Bilgi. And we of course have a house full today to talk about something that's very sensitive and that's important with regards to the times that we are in. India as a country is ravaged by the second wave of COVID-19. The situation is grim. Things are not great at all. Our thoughts and prayers are with everybody who tunes into this podcast, like we've said before as well. I hope you find solace. I hope your suffering ends soon. And hopefully, the cricket contributes to bringing you some distraction, which brings me to something that I want to say from my heart. Sport, in the larger scheme of things, does not matter. Anybody who comes in and says it's necessary for the development of cricket in a time like this is delusional. And I speak on behalf of everybody on the podcast. We understand that the outrage around the IPL continuing is there. We are not here to say anything in argument because there is none. Yes, the country is devastated, but the reality is that the governing bodies and stakeholders of the IPL want to continue with the tournament. They've assured that the players will get to their respective homes safely. And if you talk to the people in the bubble, important measures are being taken. We are seeing people like Rajasthan Royals contributing, donating money. We've seen people like Pat Cummins, individuals like Brett Lee coming out and donating. So there is movement, and the broadcasters are also doing their bit to spread awareness on air. So there is something going on there. But I think I want to start by addressing what's going on and addressing the outrage and making our stand clear on the matter. But before that, let me just welcome the boys. Sandipan, hello, how are you?
Yes, man, I'm fine so far. Yes.
Yeah. Abhishek da, good to have you back again. How's it going?
Yeah. Same.
And Guy, old-time friend of cricketnews.com, back again. How's it going? I hope you've recovered well from your shoulder surgery.
Yes, mate, it's good to be back. Good to be back with Cricket News. So, looking to unravel a couple of these things, and shoulder recovery is coming along really well.
That's good. That's great. Let's start off with the outrage, and it's justified. It's real. It's understandable. At this point, there are various not just media outlets but people on social media who've come out and said, "Why is the IPL going on?" There are resources that the IPL is sort of consuming, which can be allocated elsewhere as well. And I think Delhi as a city at this point is important because there are matches going on in Delhi. I read an article on Scroll which had the headline saying, "Let them eat runs." It had tweets about a special IPL check-in counter at airports, an ambulance available at games, and even though there are none at hospitals, there are these facilities available for the players in the bubble. There are queues outside hospitals for RT-PCR tests, but in the IPL bubble, you don't have queues for that as well. There are these discussions, there are these conversations going on. Abhishek da, where do you sit on this side of things? Because it is tricky. At the end of the day, we are here to do our job. The cricketing fraternity is a big fraternity in the country. Maybe not as big as the traditional sort of sources of income, the traditional fraternities, but it is a sizable fraternity. However, there has been a lot of outrage at this point of time on the fraternity. So how do you feel about that? Where do you sit on that?
So, okay, what I've heard both points of views from multiple people that the IPL is ugly. It's an ugly display of wealth at this point. It cannot go on. And I've heard people say that, okay, these are the 3 hours during the course of which I can get away from an entire day of stress. And stress is something that has increased many-fold over the past fortnight or so. So yeah, it's difficult to argue with that. Um, if you ask me, the IPL should continue as long as the tournament, the franchisees, the sponsors can provide something, can contribute something significant to the country.
Yeah.
During these times. I mean, why not? basically, see, as you mentioned, Rajasthan Royals have made a significant contributions.
Yeah.
Um, Brett Lee and Pat Cummins did that before them, but Rajasthan. I mean, there is only so much that individuals can do.
That's correct.
Organizations, I mean, franchisees, sponsors, they need to come ahead.
Mm.
And uh, I've seen commentators participating, commentators making people aware, teams making people aware. Captain Mumbai Indians, we saw that video on TV yesterday. I don't know how many of you saw that.
Mm.
Kolkata Knight Riders has released a video as well on. It was doing rounds on social media. So yeah, but it can be more. It can be at the toss. It can be during
Mm.
the timeout. It can be mid innings. It can be after the match. Basically, people are still going stepping out of their home,
Yeah.
so you can't do it too frequently.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
you can't stop doing this. There's also the assure the fans that, see, cricketers are almost hero worship in India. So a
Mm.
word or two of assurance from the heroes should, I mean, will definitely help
Yeah.
with motivation. Will keep them going. Cricket, they are part of our. I mean, cricketers are characters who form part of our daily job. But to fans, they are actually heroes. They mean more than that. So a
Yeah.
message from them, multiple messages from them, will
Mm.
keep them going. There's no doubt about that. The other thing that I really want to see is armbands and a minute silence during every match.
Yeah.
That is something I would really, really want to see. That they care more. I know every one of them cares, but sometimes a token display helps.
It's true. We'll
So yeah,
we'll come to all of it later, because that's something that's very important. And Abhishek also sort of outlined it on his Twitter as well yesterday, a chain to sort of give suggestions to the IPL governing body on what can be done to spread more awareness. Because at the end of the day, if there is one event that has maximum eyeballs in the country, it is the IPL. So it is the apt destination for you to spread any form of awareness in the country, especially in a time like this. Guy, I'm going to come to you. What's international media, right? There's been a lot of conversation in international media as well, and Australia as a place, particularly because there's such representation of Australia in the IPL. There are so many players across various franchises that are part of these franchises, and we've seen quite a few players now move out of the bubble and head home. We'll come to the players later, but why don't you tell us how's Australia been perceiving this entire situation? Because we saw the Prime Minister come out and say a few things in the last couple of days as well. How's that been like?
Yeah, I think it's been perceived, mate, the same around the world. I think it's tragic what's going on. It's horrible to see, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think they said there's over 10 or 20,000 Australians over there, and there's no special mention to bring the cricketers home. So unfortunately, that's just what's going to happen. But yeah, it's horrible to see. I think Australia, like the rest of the world, they're just hoping that you guys can come to some kind of outreach to try to stop or curve this, because it's horrible scenes at the moment, and we see so many pictures and hear about every single day. It's incredible to see, mate, and I'm just hoping that the government and the IPL do the right thing by their people.
Have you been able to speak to some of the players in the bubble, getting out of the bubble? How have they sort of perceived all of this?
Yeah, they're the same. I think being in it, like you guys are, I think it's really, really tough for them and for you guys. But what they have said is they've said the IPL have done an incredible job on the bubble. They all feel really, really safe. All the players said. Zampa and Richardson came home for personal reasons, but most of the other boys there they feel safe. Even they just said it's business at the moment. They play, they quarantine, they do tests, they go to the hotel, and they do it all again. So they're grateful for the position they're in because they see so many of their friends and colleagues, families really suffer. So the Australians are doing really well, and they're comfortable to stay over there. But I think it was great to see, wasn't it, Cummins and Brett Lee donate some of their money, and you know what, like they should, because like Paddy Cummins, like it's amazing that he came out and did it first. But someone like Brett Lee, he's 10 times more famous over in India than he is in Australia. So for him to help out the country that's helped him out, I think it's brilliant.
Yes.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. He is. Seems like he is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. Also, Australia has not 10 times more. India doesn't have more 10 times more people than Australia, of course, but yeah, it's somewhere there. But anyway,
Yeah.
Brett Lee, but it's heartening. It's heartening. I mean, I don't want to make this about make any fun and jokes around this, because it is heartening, because Brett, in his own words, has said that India has sort of really taken care of him for the last 2 decades, and this is the least he could do. Those were wonderful words and really heartening to sort of see that being done by Brett, and of course Pat Cummins, giving back to the country that gave him not just wealth but also position in the cricketing society that commands respect. Sticking to the players, Sandipan, I want to come to you. You spoke about something very important last time around, which is which is the mental health of players. Now the other side of it is obviously we're speaking 1 week on, but the situation's gotten worse in the country. We've seen Ravi Ashwin move out of the bubble as well. He's one cricketer that always looks at the macro. He looks at the bigger picture. He's not afraid to speak his mind, as evident from everything that he's done in the world of social. How's that space like, Sandipan, at this point of time? There must be a lot of unrest among the players in the bubble, even though they're safe.
Of course they are. Of course they are. I have mentioned earlier also that these players are also suffering because some of their friends maybe, they are suffering, or some of their relatives. Dhoni's parents, we know that they have been discharged. So there are a lot of. I was talking about the tweet of Rahul Tewatia when he seek help for an oxygen cylinder for a friend, I guess. Murli Karthik a few days back came out and seek help from Gautam Gambhir regarding something, and Gauti Kama came out and helped him. So of course there are, but as we Abhishek mentioned rightly before in our last podcast, that in subcontinental mentality, we don't talk about mental health that much. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think this is probably the trend, and you don't see someone like top Indian cricketers, despite their suffering, they'll talk about mental health or bio bubble fatigue or things like this. Ashwin is a very brave of him. I mean, I really hats off. That's why I admire someone like Ashwin, because he has always stood up for the right cause. Well, I'm not saying that moving out of the bubble or not playing in the IPL is the right cause or not. I'm not waiting a discussion. I'm just saying what he feels like. He's not bound by his franchisee or by the governing council. I feel, fine, you are one of the top IPL players. You have to play. You need to set an example here. You need to stay. I'm just highlighting that point. But I think at this point, I think they should be, whether this is Indian players or our foreign players, they should be allowed to do whatever they want. If they want to leave, they should be allowed to leave. Yeah. If they want to play, they should be allowed. That's plain and simple for me.
From a player's perspective, from an athlete's perspective, Guy, obviously you've played at the highest level. Tell us how it is like, on that front, when you're touring, when you're away. Obviously, I'm not sure if you've played in, these are obviously times that we've not seen before. These are unprecedented times. I don't think athletes have had to play in such times. Abhishek will correct me if I'm wrong. I think there was some cricket play during the World War I to distract folks from the tragedies of the war. But how is it from an athlete's perspective? guy, and then Abhishek, that you can come in and tell me about the World War. But how is it from an athlete's perspective at this point? Do you relate to how these athletes have sort of gone about this, moving out of the bubble, what they've said? Uh, Tell us your opinion on that.
Yeah, I think for the players, there's so many different facets to it. It's not just playing cricket anymore. It's also, especially for the Indian players, they're going to have the pressures of their families. They've got to look after their families, which is a massive one. Their friends, the media. So people just look at it as if like you just play cricket, but you got so many different angles coming, and it's media, family, friends, financial, whatever it may be. And like Ravi Ashwin, like I think it's so brave for players to come out and put up their hand and say, mental illness is a physical illness, is like a physical illness. So if you need a bit of time off, then you need a bit of time off. So, and unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of that in India right now. So someone like Ravi Ashwin, who has a grip on the whole country and people love him, is that if he puts his hand up and says, you know what, I'm struggling a little bit, I think it gives some of his fans the ability to go, you know what, if Ravi is struggling, I can struggle too. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. So India, everyone just needs to get together, don't they, and try and get through these difficult times. But yeah, as a player, sometimes it can get full on because there's so many different angles. So, especially because right now the players, they won't be living much of a life as well. People got to understand is that they're playing and then they're flying and then they go in their hotel rooms, they're locked up in there, and then they're getting tested, and then they're playing, and they're doing that for 8 weeks. So they don't see anything. So it is going to be hard, but on the other hand, like they're doing it a lot easier than everyone else in India.
Yeah, by no means do we mean to glorify what the players where the players are at this point of time, or sort of try and make them to be heroes. We understand and we definitely agree with the fact that they are in a safe space. They are being looked after. What the situation outside is much more grim. People don't have access to facility to try and recover, to try and fight their infection, and that's that. There's no two ways about it. With regards to the IPL going on or shutting or put bringing a shutdown to it, there was a Times of India poll, guys, which ran, and they didn't get a lot of votes, but yet it was a very interesting poll because there were a couple of questions asked there. The first question was, should it continue, plain and simple, and there were 4 options given there. Option 1 was go on because distraction. Option 2 was go on because it creates job and income for people that are involved in the operations of the IPL. Third one is it should stop because it's a symbol of greed and obstinacy. And 4, should continue only if it doesn't contribute to spread of infection. The first one got major votes. Abhishek, what do you feel about that? Which one do you sort of side with on those options?
The other option that should have been there was contribute if you can continue if you can contribute to the greater cause.
Yeah.
So I think that option should be there. Because see, I don't know what hurts them to run a keeper ticker running throughout the match with helplines.
Yeah.
To where to go, continuously updating their ticker. I mean, these do not even involve a lot of effort.
Yeah.
I've seen handles on social media, people helping out complete strangers, going out of their way to help complete strangers.
Yeah.
IPL as a body can communicate and help a lot more people if it wants to.
Yeah.
If it puts its heart to that, I'm not talking about the cricketers. IPL organization, the franchises, the sponsors, between them, they can work wonders. They can take the burden off a lot of burden off the country. So yes, I mean, I don't have a problem with the IPL continuing. See, had this not been something which people like to do, say everyone in India likes playing cricket, and these people are getting paid for making money. So had this been something very boring, I don't think anyone would have had a problem with them because people are continuing with their day jobs.
Yeah.
Yep. Even
That's the
political
thing.
even political rallies are going on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
nothing has stopped. I mean, no organization has sent their employees on a say month-long leave, paid leave. No organization does that. So cricketers are just doing their jobs. They're doing their day jobs. To us, it's entertainment. To fans across India, it's entertainment. But to them, it's the day jobs. They are also having to stay away from their families because of that.
Sandipan,
So yeah, I mean,
is
I
cricket.
can't see why.
Yeah. But Sandipan, do we think that the IPL is somehow succumbed to this whole conversation of it being everything about greed and making money because of that? Because of that labeling, right? Because the IPL has been labeled that way, has it now attracted all of this? You know, I wouldn't call it negative press, but this narrative at this point of time. Do you think the tournament has succumbed to that?
I think IPL is probably a soft target because IPL, you can blame IPL for everything, but apart from all this criticism on social media and all that,
Mm,
at the end of the day, I think more than entertainment under the present circumstances, IPL is a major distraction. Imagine those people. There are some lockdown going on in some places. People.
yeah.
Because of IPL, maybe some of the people can watch TV in the evening. At least they can have. Yes, they do not have to watch those grieving news on television, which is going on in the prime time. At least they can watch some cricket. Uh, some of people, a lot of people are in quarantine. And their only friend they are left with probably is their television and their mobile phone. And IPL
Yeah.
from that point of view, I think IPL can be a major distraction. And otherwise, even then all the negativity around on our traditional media, I mean on our news channels and all, I think it can affect someone's mental health. So from that point of view,
See,
personally, I believe that from that point of view, IPL should go on.
Yes, Abhishek.
I really don't get this association of IPL with greed, and I can never figure this out. Actually, I mean, people. Of course, I mean, athletes are also professionals. They obviously want to earn more money. I can't see anything wrong with that.
Mm,
Um, if it's wrong, it should hold true for other professions. It should hold across professions. I don't know why cricketers are being singled out alone for playing in the IPL. If it's for some other reason, I don't know. But just to continue playing, I think they're just doing their job.
how do you feel?
The only thing I think which can go against IPL at this point is, are they taking away their important resources? Are they? I'm not sure.
Yes, that is a very valid point.
That is a valid
That is a very valid point.
100%. Sticking to the player side of things, Guy, how do you look? Where do you sit on this whole conversation about singling out cricketers or athletes as people who are making great money and sort of there's this whole to be honest with you, there is this narrative, and I won't shy away from saying this. In India, we look down on wealth, right, in a very weird way, right? If you're wealthy, then you've done something which is illegal, you've done something which is wrong, unethical to get there, for no matter what. But athletes in particular, we know for a fact how hard they work, right? In and out from a very young age to get to where they are. Um, how do you feel about this as a former cricketer? This whole narrative around athletes being people who are making colossal amount of money with no, for nothing.
Yeah, I agree with all you boys. I think it's quite unfair and it doesn't make sense. If that makes sense, just because, and I don't think that people actually are meaning to single the athletes out. They're obviously just in times of distress, and they don't like seeing people making a lot of money like these cricketers are. But at the end of the day, unless the cricketers go home, they're just doing what as they're told, aren't they? They've come to India for a certain purpose to get paid. They're not coming here to play for free. So if they're playing, they're getting paid money. So I think the great points that you all brought up before, though, is that I think the IPL should go on, but the IPL need to be really mindful of the way that they go about it. And because there's so many eyeballs on it, they've got such a great opportunity and network to try to help the country, whether that's telling people new information during the innings break or during the time break. Like, that's a great opportunity to stand 1.5 meters away from people or trying to make a difference. Because the way it is that more people are watching the IPL than they are listening to government talks. So the IPL could really, really help the country in general.
Yeah, I think this is the most important part of the podcast. Abhishek, your thread on Twitter, right? I read it and I realized that there is just so much that we can do. Obviously, there has been a ton of discussion around what broadcasters can do. So this is I'm putting you on the spot. You have a minute and a half. Please tell us the what you listed down in that thread, because you listed down some fabulous measures that the broadcasters, the cricketers, etc. can take, simple measures to ensure that there is awareness, that there is that the IPL does its bit, and it can actually do a whole lot if they implement this. So go on.
Yes, they have the money, they have infrastructure, they have access to everything. They even have medical support at their disposal. They can utilize it to, change a lot of things close to the bubble. I don't know, as long as as long as nothing is compromised, and even if there is some sacrifice involved, they can do this. The broadcasters, I personally feel it can be more somber. You do not have to celebrate everything. You do not have to you do not have to list the details of the car so vividly the moment every time they show it. You do not have to go overboard with promoting the brands. I don't know. Cracking four, a brand can. I think a brand will earn more respect if its name is associated with free oxygen cylinders than cracking fours and sixes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think definitely they can get there. And then communication, as Guy said, more people are following the IPL than government talk. So it can be the best.
Yeah.
It can be used as a means of communication. It can be used as SOS. As an SOS. What do you call entity? Anything. There are many things that can be done. But then the first time has been done. The commentators are constantly making people aware. I noticed that I think it started Sunday, but it can be more, definitely more.
You also spoke about regional languages, messages in regional languages, because
broadcast
goes out in multiple languages. Yeah.
So there are so many cricketers from so many states. They speak, I don't know, must be about 25 languages between them.
Yeah.
So that can be made use of. India has many languages. So that can be made use of. And television is not the only channel for IPL. They can be used on social media. They can be used in many other ways.
Make it rights free. Make those messages rights free. Anyone can use it.
Yes. Very good point.
There should not be any copyright for that.
Very good point. Very good point indeed. Yeah. Communication is everything. It really is. I'm actually trying to get to that thread that he pinned down, Abhishek. It was quite the thread. There's so many details there. obviously your timeline is now filled with retweets about oxygen requests and things of that nature. So well done. Keep doing that, and yeah, we'll continue to do that on our behalf as well. But essentially, there are solutions. There are things that the broadcasters can do. There are solutions that the players can implement. There are solutions that the IPL governing body, in alliance with the brands and the broadcasters, these guys can come together to make things happen. And it's high time that they do, and I think they will as well. I think they will, and they have to make use of all of it. All right, parting thoughts, gents, before we wrap this up. Of course, this week we are not indulging in conversation about the bat and ball side of things. Our respect is with where the country is at this point of time. Yes, it is our job. We are professionals that get paid, and our homes run on the money that we get paid to talk about the cricket, to opine and bring cricket coverage to all of you. So we will continue doing that, but this episode we're not going to indulge in that, and we're going to sign off now. And before we sign off, I'd like to hear from each one of you. Let me start with Sandipan. Any parting thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, I think I completely agree with the panelists, especially Abhishek Da here, because Abhishek Da understands the situation, is more active on social media.
Mm.
I completely agree with him, and I think IPL should go on until and unless they are occupying the resources which may be useful for the other people.
Yeah.
But apart from that, that's why I was a bit disappointed when they still continued Delhi as one of the venues, because I thought that Delhi matches should have been shifted.
Mm.
But now I think at this point IPL should go on. I think the franchises can come out and help. As Abhishek said, mentioned that it can use their social media. They have a powerful social media. They have very wide reach. They can use those social media to as SOS platforms as well.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, IPL is a major distraction. At least for me, I'm saying from my point of view. At least I'm in this situation when I switch on my TV at 7 o'clock in the evening. I find a little bit of distraction. So from that point of view, I need that 3 hours of mental relief. So I think from that point of view, definitely I should go on.
Yeah. Guy, your thoughts on of course it's sitting in Australia, much safer, and we are very happy that you were safe and that everybody in Australia are relatively safe from all of this. But you're obviously an active member of the cricketing fraternity. You've got friends in the bubble. You've got people, like you rightly said, there are Australians in India as well. Your thoughts before we sign off?
Yeah, mate, I think I agree with all. Summarised what you've all said. I'd like to see the IPL continue. I'd like to see the IPL do as much as they possibly can, and I'd also like to see the franchises reach out to players to try to get on their social medias to speak to their states and speak to their fans and try to help them do the right thing. So, and like you said, Sandipan, like it's turning on your TV and not seeing every channel with coronavirus news, isn't it? You want to be able to switch it on and just think, like, beautiful, I can just switch off for this next 3 hours and I can watch it. So I think it needs to continue, but yeah, they just need to do as much as they possibly can, and hopefully you guys can get over that curve in the coming days.
Yeah. Before I come to you, Abhishek, I think what I'd like to say, I mean, Guy and Sandipan both mentioned distraction and relief, and it's very important to address this because at this point of time, everybody looks at these words as everybody dehumanizes these words. You are expected to be in a state of grief and misery. While there is grief and misery around you, it is only human to feel like you need a distraction from all of this. It is only human to feel the need to go away from all of the news around you, the suffering around you, and let's try and address that and accept that as on priority is what I'd like to say on a personal front. And yes, if the IPL contributes to that, let it stay, but on conditions that it does good. Yes, Abhishek, please sum it up for us.
No, as you said, I think it ideally should continue. Cricket, any sport has been used as, I mean, to relieve stress, to improve the morale of a nation. It has been
Yeah.
used in the past and it has worked. I mean,
Mm,
sports, I know it's just a profession, but it has an impact on a lot of people. So it should continue with its responsibilities. And yes, I mean, let's all assume our responsibilities as well towards what
absolutely.
has been going on.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
I know,
Please.
I know, I know a lot. I know a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially from the cricket fraternity, were probably directly or indirectly associated with the IPL. They are getting
Mm,
paid, and they are using that money to help people. They are using donating the money for charitable causes, for oxygen cylinders. So if
Yes.
IPL doesn't happen, they will not get that money, and
mm.
so that is also important. There is no harm. I'm just saying there is
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
harm continuing
Of
with
course.
IPL until
Yeah.
unless they are taking away the resources. Players or the bubble taking away the resources.
Yeah. No harm in continuing, but too good. That's what we are saying on this podcast. No harm in continuing, but too good. Use the eyeballs that are on
Yes.
you to spread good and step up in society. Make your presence count. And show that cricket can stand for beyond the bat and ball side of things. For a number of years, for people around the world, the game has transcended beyond what it is to mean a whole lot. And now is an opportunity for it to again stand up and make itself count. On that note, I'd like to say thank you to everybody, Sandipan, Guy, Avishekda, for joining me. This was a good episode of the podcast, a podcast that was necessary, that was important, that all of us felt very strongly about, and we wanted to communicate and stand up and sort of raise our voice against. The IPL continues. There's been some fabulous cricket. There will be more fabulous cricket in the time to come. Sandipan's not happy about RCB, but that's okay. Make your, settle. Kolkata are losing, Sandipan. You have to sort of make do with them for another season. Don't think they're going to make it into the playoffs this time. Abhishek Da, I hope you've given up on Rajasthan. It's about time you do. And Guy, I
Yeah,
still.
there are exactly four overseas players.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's
Exactly
true.
four.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Listeners of the podcast must be like, "Arey, these guys are back again talking about cricket. They just promised us they're not going to talk about it, but they're back again doing it." Never mind. Guy, before we leave, what team do you support? Just for record.
This isn't going to be well liked, boys, but I'm a RCB fan as well.
Oh, well, well, well. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
sorry.
Eh, Yeah, well, it's a good time to be an RCB fan, and never in history has anybody said that. So enjoy your time, mate. It's going to be fun. So, all right. This has been fun. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me.